Hi, welcome to Run SDJ. I'm Steve and I'm currently training for the Paris Marathon and I'm following a 16-week plan using the Runna app. I've just completed my 8th week, so I'm officially halfway through my training. Just like I did last month after 4 weeks, I thought I'd reflect back on my second month on the plan. If you are new to this series and want to see how I set up my marathon plan, including my reaction to what it thinks I can achieve in Paris, I'll link that video above and in the description, as well as my video of my 1 month plan review. So after 8 weeks of training, I've now run exactly 400 kilometers across 32 runs, 180k in month 1 and 220k in month 2. It is by far the most distance I've covered over that length of time. Each week, I have continued to do 4 runs a week, split into an easy run, a tempo session, an interval session, and a long run. I've continued to try and plan my training week in advance, moving days around as necessary to try and fit around life in general as much as possible. But firstly, let's talk about the easy runs. In the last 4 weeks, these have ranged from 10k to 12k, and there isn't a great deal more to say about these that I didn't say in the first month's review. They generally take place early on in my training week, and I just find a route on Strava that I've run before. I stick on a podcast or an audiobook and run at a reasonably relaxed, consistent pace of between 5 minutes 25 to 5 minutes 35 per kilometre. Next, onto the interval sessions. I think this is the area where I've seen most growth in myself and in my performance in the last 4 weeks. When I've been planning each of these sessions each week, I have initially had a lot of dread and self-doubt about my capability to hit the goals of the session. When I've looked at the session plan each week, I've thought this will be the one where everything starts to fall apart. Whether it's the number of reps, the distance of the interval, or the target pace, or a combination of the three, something continually has made me doubt my ability to achieve the session's goal. To try and give me the best chance of success in these sessions, I went outside of my comfort zone to try and find environments that will allow me to be at my best. In week 5, I went to an organised club session at a 1k cycle track. I did my own thing rather than the club session, but being surrounded by fellow runners really helped push me on. Also, being in a flat, traffic-free environment meant I had consistency, which I haven't always had in more urban environments. There is a running track close to my work, so in the remaining weeks, I've gone there for each interval session. This actually took quite a lot of courage, in all honesty. I've often thought about going to the track, but for whatever reason, it felt like it was a place that I didn't belong. But this has been another area of growth for me, and after just 1 session at the track, this inferiority complex disappeared. And now I look forward to going to the track each week. In week 5 at the cycle track, my interval session was 10 sets of 800 meters at a pace of around 4 minutes and 5 per kilometre with 90 seconds rest between sets. I managed to hit the pace window for each set, varying between 3 minutes 54 and 4 minutes and 1 per kilometre average pace. Week 6 was 5 sets of 1k at 4:10 per kilometre average pace, a minute's rest, then 500 meters at 3 minutes 50 per kilometre average pace with 2 minutes rest. Once again, I managed to hit or exceed the target paces for each set. At this stage, my own self-confidence was starting to shift. I was now going into sessions thinking I can achieve the goals of the session rather than the self-doubt I was having previously. In week 7, I did a pyramid interval session. I also did a featured video on this session, which I'll link above and in the description. But once again, I managed to hit all the pace windows for that session, except for the 200 meter sprint where I slightly exceeded the target pace. In week 8, the session was 3 sets of 800 meters at 4 minutes and 5 per kilometre with 90 seconds rest between the sets. Then 6 sets of 400 meters at 3 minutes 45 per kilometre with 60 seconds rest between sets. I achieved all the goals of that session too. This has been my biggest area of growth within such a short period of time that I have ever experienced as a runner. I went from low to high confidence, and I've really learned how to pace these sessions effectively. This is where I have to give Runna massive credit. The way it integrates with my watch, a Garmin Forerunner 965, and populates the workouts is absolutely game-changing. I just start the workout and follow along step by step. I don't have to overthink. I can just concentrate on the interval I am in or the next one to come during rest periods. I take it for granted now, but I can't imagine how much I would overthink these sessions without this integration. My tempo sessions this month have been pretty varied and I've had mixed success with them. In week 5, the tempo section of a workout was a 5K at 4 minutes 20 per kilometre pace. I did this session on my own and I found it really challenging. I managed to just about squeeze into the pace window for this with a 4 minutes 24 per kilometre average, but it was really hard work. In week 6, my tempo sessions was one of the worst runs of the plan so far. It was 2 sets of 4K at 4 minutes per 20 kilometre average pace with 3 minutes rest between sets. I once again did this session alone in pretty dark, uninspiring surroundings, and I missed my targets by a few seconds in each set and felt pretty deflated. Week 7 was a repeat, albeit with more sets, of my tempo session from week 1 called Rolling 300s. It involved 14 sets of 300 metres at 4 minutes 20 per kilometre, followed by 300 metres at 5:10 per kilometre. There was no rest between sets. This session felt like it would never end, but I achieved the target pace for all the fast 300s and achieved most of the pace targets for the slower ones. I had the day off work and I picked a route that I enjoy running for this session. I did it during the day, which made it a lot more enjoyable than if I did it around my neighbourhood in the dark. In week 8, I did a session called On-Off Ks, which involved 3 sets of 1K at 4 minutes 55 per kilometre and 1K at 4 minutes 20 per kilometre. I went along to a park run to do this session, doing a 1K warm-up and the first kilometre of the tempo section before the parkrun started. As was the case in month 1 of my plan, strategically incorporating parkrun into my training and running with a few hundred other runners really helped me with the remaining 5K. I achieved the targets for this session in all the sets, aside from the final kilometre where I got a little bit overexcited and went slightly too quickly. As with month 1, the final run of the week has been the long run. This has progressively grown from 24K to 28K with a 14-kilometre one during a deload week in week 8. These have honestly been my favourite runs of the plan so far, week 8 aside. I managed to make the runs in weeks 5, 6 and 7 completely different and enjoyed each one massively. So much so that there is a vlog for each one individually on my channel feed, so go and check those out. In week 5, I incorporated a park run into a 24K long run, and I can't recommend doing this enough. The run was split into 4 5K sections and a final 4K. I did the first 3 sections pre-park run, running one of my favourite routes as the sun rose. I got back for the start of parkrun for the 15 to 20k section, which was one of the faster paced segments of the run. There is honestly nothing like the atmosphere of a parkrun to give you a bit of a power boost when you're feeling a little bit tired. I managed to go about 15 seconds over my pace target during the parkrun before a 4k cool down to close out the run. The following week was 26k and had no pace targets. I jumped on a train down to London and ran from Tottenham Hale tube station to the Houses of Parliament via the Olympic Park. I ran with one of my best friends who I used to run with a lot, and it was great. In week 7, I had 28k to cover in a progression run with 14k comfortable pace followed by 14k at my planned marathon pace. I entered a local half marathon in Corby, ran 7k comfortable before the half started, ran the first 7k of the half at a comfortable pace, then broke into my marathon pace for the final 14k. It was a challenging course with a fair degree of incline, but I came away with my second quickest ever half marathon, but week 8 brought me crashing down to earth with a bump. My final run of the month during deload week was a comfortable paced 14k. Because of some of the bad weather, my training week got a bit backed up. This meant I ran on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and with the hard on-off K's tempo run the day before, my legs were just not interested. I ran a route I've run before and didn't enjoy, and this time it was even worse. It was so stop-start, and I averaged a pace of 6 minutes 27 per kilometre. This wasn't how I wanted to end what had been an otherwise really positive month. It was a reality check that a bad run can be just around the corner, but hopefully my first run of month 3 can put me back on track. So 32 runs, 400k and halfway into the plan. How am I feeling? To be honest, the deload week long run aside, I'm feeling really good. I've grown in confidence as a runner more in the last month than I think I ever have. Getting along to the session at the cycle track and then introducing myself to the running track was without doubt the best thing I could have done this month. I've started to believe, maybe for the first time, that I can achieve the overall target of the plan to run about a 3-hour 30 marathon. So it's on to month 3 and the longest month of the plan in terms of distance covered, with over 265 kilometers planned. I'll be continuing to try and mix things up and keep the training interesting, and might enter a couple more races. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, please give it a like, and if you are not already, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching. Remember, just keep turning up, and I will see you next time.